and I could, check and validate with some of my office personnel that most, I'm going to say probably 80% of the concerns we have that come into our office about employees and how we can work with employees and what the problems are with employees, and we just handled one of these just a couple of days ago. The call, actually yesterday I got a call that took me out of here. And I was out in the lobby, and the department had said to me, I have to terminate this employee today. I always love that.
After an exemplary performance evaluation, I decided to throw that in.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, I really love that because usually, as was mentioned, I say, can you give me the parameters? Well, this particular employee had been late for work for a couple of times and hasn't completed her assignments, and she was working in the library, I can tell you that much. And she hadn't followed through on several things that they've asked her to do. And so they needed to terminate her today because they had need for the job to be fulfilled, and they had some work that needed to be done, and they didn't feel that she could do it. So I said, all right, let me call you back. And so I spent a few more minutes in the lobby out here, and I called my office, and I talked to Shauna. And I said, Shauna, would you look me up on this particular employee, get her file for me? So she got her file and brought it to her desk, and I says, I want you to read to me all the progressive discipline that we've done with this employee over the last year. We can usually look back a year to see how the employee goes a little bit different. And also her performance appraisal that she has had in the last year. Now we have a performance appraisal, and we all do performance appraisals different, but in Weber County we have a performance appraisal that goes 1 through 5, and it's numerical, but it's also analytical. You also have a space in it that, especially in the goals that you have, that you can set them down and they have to be written out and they have to be reachable goals. And it has a space in it that if you rate someone low, like a 2, then there should be an explanation, and it says, explain why. And on the performance appraisal, this particular employee had 4.5 as an average out of 5. But we had to get rid of her today. I said, show me some other notes of caution or any disciplinary action. None. But we had to get rid of her yesterday. So we find ourselves in a situation where, as our employees tend to go into these times that they have tough times in their lives, some of our employees have just got to a point where they're tired, they want to be done. And I had a situation not so long ago where we actually did the paperwork and did it right, did the evaluations, and when we terminated the employee, she had the wherewithal to say with us, you should have done this a long time ago. I've been waiting for this. And I turned to the department head after she had left and I said, you should have done that a long time ago. She was waiting for that. So 6 months earlier probably would have been the best time. So we've got some people here today that we're going to talk about that performance appraisal. And we just did, many of you might have read about it, we did a court case in federal court just a few months ago from Weber County. And in that court case, it was referred to by the plaintiff's attorney several times about performance appraisals and how they had or had not been done. So we'll always come back to how you guide your employee and what notification that employee has on what may or may not be coming down the pipe as far as their performance is concerned. Have you had the opportunity to sit and provide them with goals, reachable goals, tangible goals that they would know about? And have you monitored their situation as they've moved through the process? Again, over 80 to 85% of the disciplinary problems you have in your offices, I can almost go into your office and find them for you, they all deal from the fact that somewhere down the line a department head, a department director, or some supervisor has not done their performance appraisals, or they're not current. And in many cases, they're not accurate. And we have what we call the halo effect. We have rater bias. I know that in my particular office, and I know that Julie and Robin really like this when I talk about this, but Julie and Robin are fantastic employees.
Can you say that again?
Yeah, we didn't hear you in the background. What was
I
that?
couldn't hear you say.
They're pretty good employees.
You got that on video, right?
Yeah. And they've been with me, a long time. Robin's pretty short. She's, how long, Robin?
2 years.
2 years. Julie's been with me 20, I bet.
Something.
How many?
22?
2.
23?
That was close. Julie, can you tell me, what was your last performance rating?
3.2.
She's a
You were robbed.
She's a great employee. Standard is 3 because I ask my employees to do a lot and I have a lot of goals for them to reach. And if Julie reaches all those goals, then she gets the 3. She's succeeded in several places. I thought it was 3.4 myself. But I know there's a department head right next to me that he doesn't have a lot of goals that he puts down for his employees. In fact, the last time I looked at one of his performance appraisals, there were 1 or 2 in the entire page, goals for that employee to reach. And that employee was getting 4.5 and 4.7 on some of the things he rated her on. He rated her at 5. So here I have an employee that has an average of 4.7, and I have one of my employees that has an average of about 3.4 or 3.2, and we'll have to work on that a little bit. But here we have those employees with some rater bias on one particular instance. And how do they compare across the board? Well, the good thing about it is they're separate departments and separate department heads, and we treat them separately. But it's still, we need to train our supervisors and train our department heads on the tool of the performance appraisal. We have some people with us here today that are going to do just that. Now, most of you know that Kristen has been working with us for some years. If you get in trouble and you have a real concern, you have a question, you dial her number, and usually you'll have this message come on that says, "I'm busy right now." No, in fact, you can actually get her sometimes, but she'll call you back, and she'll help you through these problems. And so she's going to come up with us today, and we got Joe's going to come up with us today, and we got a new treasurer with us today. And pardon?
Recorder.
Oh, a recorder. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
And here all this time, Chad, I knew Chad when he was really, really young, back in scouting days. And I always thought it was the treasurer, but it's recorder.
Yep.
Okay.
You were my Little League coach.
That was it too. Thanks for reminding me. He got a 3.1. And Joe, I'm going to ask all of you to come up, if you would, please. And they're going to go through a couple of scenarios to us, and we're going to critique them. So I'm going to. I think Joe's going to have some on the screen that he's going to show, and you've got a couple of scenarios. We're going to go through those scenarios, and as we go through those scenarios, I'm going to be looking, or we are going to be looking for you to give us the answer, and then we're going to go to Kristen and ask her if that's the best answer. So you get to judge the answers. So, and Chad's going to talk about the fact that he's so new that he's all into this. He knows everything there is about it. He's in that honeymoon period where he actually probably does performance appraisals, don't you?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
The first 2 years they do them, right?
All right.
All right, so this is a participatory class. So what I want you to do is pull out a scratch piece of paper and a pen. We're going to jot down a few things. We'll get to the scenarios in a minute, and we're going to have you help us come up with some good things to do. Maybe point out some things that are good, some things that are not so good, and how you will do them differently. But first, I kind of want to find out what's important to you. So when we build, so we're the HR people, right? HR people, Raise your hand if you have the HR function in your role. Okay, almost everybody here. So that means we know everything, right? I mean, we know that. We know everything. So actually what I want you to think is in your brain, when you put together your performance appraisals, what factors are you looking for? What items on your performance appraisal do you have? We have, Uinta County, we have 2 different performance appraisals. One's for our sheriff's office, the post-certified folks, and then the other one is for everybody else. And the one that's for the sheriff's office, our sheriff feels like it's very important to have a lot of detail. It talks about dress code, it talks about how they dress, talks about pretty much everything, just very little detail. A lot of detail, I guess I should say, but breaks it down to the smallest detail. The county evaluation, as you'll see here in a minute, is a lot more broad. And so number one is you need to figure out as an organization how your evaluation tool is going to look. What factors are you looking for? What things are important to you? So what I want you to do is watch this video and write down, on your scratch paper kind of some of the performance things that these people are doing. How good, how bad, whatever. Just write down what you're looking for. What's important to you about how well these employees are performing? Write down a couple things. This isn't in the U.S. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about OSHA. We don't care about OSHA. What are some things in there that you identify that those employees are doing, whether it be well? Think of your evaluation tool. What are your factors? What are some of the things that you look for while your employees are working with? What are you evaluating? You gotta do it again, or you got a good picture of what's going on? So your employees perform work, not necessarily that type of work. They perform work on a daily basis. So what are you looking for them to perform their duties well? So take a few minutes. Hopefully you have 1 or 2 items, maybe 3. Turn to your card and compare your lists, compare your ideas and your thoughts. Look at your factors.